I had this one credit card that the company folded shortly after I started with them. I started working with them as a 1099. I went out on the field for 3 months, put a bunch of charges onto this credit card, and they folded before they ever paid me. And I never got any money back for that. And little did I know, because my wife had been handling the bills at that time, that she was so irritated by this decision, me going 1099 and me like not getting paid. She hadn't paid it either. She just had avoided it for years. It was a big. All right, we are week 2, round 2. As I hold up 3 fingers, that's always good. All right, we're gonna get moving though. Thank you all for joining us today. Here we are live and ready to go on Facebook, live on LinkedIn. You can catch the replays, obviously, on Facebook and LinkedIn, and we're loading them up, a week delay on YouTube for those that have access to YouTube and like to watch videos there on the Be More Everyday channel. Today, we are talking about clarifying your destination. And if you don't know what I'm talking about and you haven't had a chance to really zone out and take a big vision look at your destination, what I really encourage you to do is take a peek at bemoredaily.com, register to join our live calls there, and I will send you all the worksheets that we've gone over in the first couple of sessions. So we've got a worksheet called Set Your Destination, which really helps you to outline your big vision. We've got a worksheet called the Take 5, which is the daily conversations and weekly conversations that we like to have with our teams and our people. It literally can take 5 minutes. And that way you've got no excuses on making sure that we've identified the goal and we're moving forward. You can join us here for that Take 5 conversation every day right after this live. We do this live first and then jump into the Take 5 conversation. And then we've got some habit trackers that we've given out as well. So excited to move forward into looking at this. Actually, Thomas is here now. And Thomas is the one that asked that we dig in and do this a little bit today. And that is, Jeff, like we've written out our long-term goals. We have a chance to discuss it and just get some clarity surrounding them and make sure that the actions that we're choosing today are relevant towards those long-term goals. Because that's what we were looking at yesterday. What we glanced at yesterday was the fact that we want to make sure that our goals are smart. So just to recap that real quick, everybody could chime in on it with me here. So as we're looking at our goals, and we want to make sure that our goals are smart, when we start at the top and we look at that long-term destination, what does that S stand for?
Specific.
There we go. Not Atlantic, specific. There we go. All right. What does the M stand for?
Measurable.
Love it. What does the A stand for?
Attainable.
There we have it. Attainable or achievable. Synonym. I'm allergic to synonym. And R, this is the one that a lot of people get wrong, but we didn't get it wrong yesterday. What's R?
Relevant.
That's right. Relevant. It's not realistic. It's relevant. Relevant to that long-term goal. We've got a T. T is pretty simple. T is time-bound. It's literally the worksheet that we're doing. We want to make sure that we have set our timing and set our goals into that timing for our time-bound. And this is the big question I want to make sure that we're digging into today as we talk about this for the next 10 minutes with those that are on the call. Is it clear? So Kevin, thanks for joining us today. As you're listening to everybody else, I know this is your first time out with us. If you want to take some time to, kind of peek at a couple of goals that you've got, some big visions that you've got, and write down just a couple. You don't have to share them publicly today if you don't want to. This is what we've been doing over the past week is taking these long-term visions down to actionable items today. And so what we're going to do today, tomorrow, and Thursday is clarify those breakdowns and make sure that those of us that are hearing what our long-term visions and goals are, understand them. And I'll give you a quick example as to why. So when I hired a coach 6 or 7 years ago, one of my long-term goals, and I mentioned this one yesterday, not for me, but in general, was to pay off my debt. I'd been debt-free for a long time, and through some job changes, some debt has started to creep up again, and we weren't really excited about it. And goal was And I thought that was pretty clear, right? Pay down the debt. And my coach made me drill in, right? So, how much are you going to pay off this year? How much extra are you paying off this each month, right? Which credit card is going first? And that way I added some very specific clarity to each of those items. Once you've paid off that one credit card, what are you doing with the extra money? Are you using it to pay off larger amounts for the next credit cards, et cetera? And as she worked with me through each of those items and those goals, it added a bunch of clarity to my goal, which was actually pretty important because I realized in that process that the first card I wanted to pay off was one that I had incurred as I started doing 1099 style contractor work inside of companies. I had this one credit card that the company folded shortly after I started with them. I started working with them as a 1099. I went out on the field for 3 months, put a bunch of charges onto this credit card, and they folded before they ever paid me. And I never got any money back for that. And little did I know, because my wife had been handling the bills at that time, that she was so irritated by this decision, me going 1099 and me like not getting paid. She hadn't paid it either. She just had avoided it for years. It was a big thorn in our side, and I hadn't realized that it was such a thorn in our side. But when the coach forced me to drill down and get clarity, not only did it help me move forward, but it helped me move forward in the right places, and it really started causing and generating a lot of repair inside of that financial area in my life. So it's one of the reasons we do this. One of the reasons we get clarity. We want to know what it is that you are reaching for. We want to know why it is that you are reaching for it, so that way we can keep it relevant to your long-term goals. And that's why we're going to start long-term. So Thomas, I'm going to let you go first. The way we're going to do this is pretty simple. We pick one off your sheet. You and I can discuss later if you want any extra ones. But pick one for now that you want to make sure is important, is clear. And what we want to do as a group is, as Thomas shouts it out or reads it out, we want to ask ourselves the question, is that goal clear? And if it's clear pretty quickly, Thomas, you can read a second one, right? And if we have any questions that will help clarity in our mind to what Thomas is trying to say, let's ask Thomas that question, because when it's clear for us, it'll be clear in his head for him too. And the clearer it gets, the easier it will be for us to hit our long-term goals. So go ahead, Thomas.
Yeah, I think one of my biggest ones is to have enough passive income to retire by the time I'm 55.
Okay. I can think of an immediate clarity question there. Anybody got one?
What are you going to do this year to start the process to have the passive income?
Well, we're going to back it back up, Michael. We're going to pause on that because that's actually the exercise, right? Is to break it down to this year. I want to make sure he gets clear on what he just said out loud first. And, as far as what his long-term vision is. So long-term vision, Thomas, you want to make sure you have enough passive income to retire. So what does that look like for you? What's financial freedom? What's your dollar amount? How much do you need each month to be able to retire passively?
I don't know. I mean, I could put a number. I could say, let's say $7,000 a month.
Okay.
But I don't want to, I really want that to be $10,000 or $15,000 a month.
Okay. Yeah. And that was going to be my next question is, let's future cast it. If it's 7,000 today, what's that look like 20 years from now? Right. Like, it could be 15,000, and your quality of life is probably going to increase as you age. Right. There's certain things, vacations you're going to want to take and maybe a larger house that you're living in at that point in time. And so perhaps that 15 just became 20, right? My advice would be to look at what your bills are today. So if you stopped working today and did the fun things that you want to do today and paid off any bills that you currently have to pay today. I mean, your cell phone bill, even when you retire, is not going away, right? Your internet bill is not going away. Gas and electric is going to need to be paid, even if your mortgage is paid off. How much money will you need monthly to pay the bills? How much money will you need monthly to do the fun things? and then maybe double that to give yourself an idea on how much passively you'll need to make each month. You could randomly put in a 15 if you want to, or a 20, and being able to forecast will be important. So if you randomly throw in a 20, that's 240 passively a year. And then to Michael's point, now we'll take that goal and break it down to the 5 and to the 1. How much do you need to be able to make passively by the end of this year, by 5 years, by someday, to be on track to hit that 20 a month? Is that fair?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so that's your homework right there. All right, Michael, you're up next. Let's go.
Well, mine I put on for my wife. I printed out this form yesterday and she saw it and she said, you better put visit Italy on there.
Okay. So someday you want to visit Italy. Now, Michael, if you jumped on a plane and landed in Italy and got back onto the plane and flew home, would that count?
Not for her. And
So
it's interesting because Italy has been on her list for years, but have you ever priced out going to Italy?
I've never priced out going to Italy. I've got a friend that goes every year, but I've never gone.
It's like super expensive.
Yeah.
Especially if you want to hit the 3 major areas. So
see, now we're adding clarity, especially if you want to hit the 3 major areas. Is that part of the goal to hit the 3 major areas?
Yes, I think we would, if we were to go, looking at our age, we would probably want to do a 2-week trip to hit the areas she wants to go to.
I mean, Michael, if you're going to be there, I mean, you can make it a month, right? I mean, this is a someday goal.
Right.
Go stay in Italy for a month.
And, it's a little easier to do that today with Airbnb and other options like Vrbo.
Yeah, for sure. So that's what I would add to that, right? Is, it's not just go to Italy, it's go to Italy and do what, right? Like, the friend of mine that goes, like, she loves to go and stay, in a little cottage by a winery and just drink wine and have food and eat food with her husband.
Right.
Like, to her, that's perfect. It's peaceful. It's looking over the Italy countryside, and that's her version of Italy. If you're doing this so that way you're fulfilling a bucket list item for your wife, what does that vacation look like? And then same thing as we asked with Thomas is how much is that going to cost, right?
Yep.
I had a client that did this as a 5-year goal, a 2-week trip to Europe, and he found out as they started working towards it and he got enough clarity, he was able to do it in a year. And so, this someday goal of yours could be accomplished faster than that. And to your point, maybe that changes the someday goal to having a place in Italy if that ends up being a dream spot for her. Love it. Cool. Was that enough clarity?
Yep.
Okay. Anybody else need any questions on clarity for Michael? No? Okay. Ted, you're up, sir. What do you got?
Yo. So one of my someday goals is to finish writing a book that my father started. And so within the next 10 to 15 years, I would love to, for myself, become a published author, obviously, and then finish writing that autobiography that he 3/4 kind of created and framed out and fleshed that out in full.
Okay. And so I heard 2 things there. Anybody else hear 2 things? He said, become a published author. And so is it write your own book and finish your dad's book? Or is that the same thing?
For me, I think it would be the same thing.
Okay. And so in your mind, as far as finishing, and this is a tougher one, right? Because I know nothing about the book and obviously you do. So from a clarity standpoint, you said it's about 3/4 finished. Mm-hmm. And so how many chapters do you need to add roughly, perhaps? What's 1/4 more look like for you as far as getting there?
Yeah, it's not even just, adding that, but it's all the editing and revisioning and so on and formatting that would be needed to do that. So I think that there's many, many hours required to get this thing going in the direction that needs to go. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think it's probably, as labor goes, it's probably half complete, though 3/4 of the content is there.
Okay. All right. And so in your vision of someday, in order to finish this book and get it published? Are you looking at self-publishing? Are you looking at finding a publisher?
Self-publishing, most likely.
Okay. All right. So before you die, you would like to finish your father's autobiography and self-publish it.
Exactly.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for clarity needed for Ted?
No.
Okay. All right.
That's
And
a
now,
good thing.
Now, yeah, and what's interesting about that, y'all, is this, right? Like, and we talked a little bit about this when we were talking about specific, right? Some things are less measurable, right? I think as Ted gets into that, he's, you know, he already identified it might need more labor to do the editing and do some of these other elements than just finishing the writing. And so, you know, John Maxwell would say, you wake up every day and you start to write. And some days you'll write 3 sentences, and some days you'll write a paragraph, and some days you'll write 3 pages, and other days you're going to write a whole chapter, right? And the important idea, as we back it down to today, is to do something every day to start working towards that goal, if that's an important goal for you. And so some of those are going to be, did I take a step forward today versus, you know, how much of a step did I take? And because it's going to be hard to measure the overall end result since we've never done it before. We don't know the mathematical equation to Ted's dad's autobiography because it's never been done before, right? So what can we do to move forward each day? Great. Kevin, if you want to, you can choose to share. Obviously you didn't come today probably with this in mind to do this. And if you've got a goal that you know that you want to achieve someday, feel free to shout it out and we can help add some clarity to it.
Yeah, sure. I can share with the group. So a little bit older than Thomas's goal to retire, but I do plan on retiring in about a year. Not
All right.
necessarily to sit at home, however, to start up another career, which has always been a dream of mine. I think Mike knows a little bit about this, but I'm going to join the world of commercial aviation. Get a pilot's license, and probably the last 5 years of my life, hopefully fly some commuter airlines. Mike will never be able to bring you to Italy, but maybe be able to jump between Pittsburgh and Baltimore and Cincinnati. Who knows? So that's an ultimate goal right now. I know that the final retirement age for pilots is 65, but who knows? There's talk about having that extended to 67. So we shall see, but that is the goal that's in my mind right now.
Wow. All right. So all sorts of pieces that come to mind just as far as clarity goes. So when you say begin another career, all right, this is full time. This is 5 days a week. Like, you know, is this? I mean, obviously, it's not recreational if you're saying commercial aviation, right. And so I'm not going to talk about the steps that are needed to get there because that's not part of the long term vision. That's part of what we're doing today, and we'll break those down across the week. And what you know, when you're talking about a career in commercial aviation, what does that look like to you? Like, you know, how much are you making?
To me,
how many flights are you doing? Who are you working for?
To me, that looks like nothing but fun. You know, so who would I be working for? It'd be one of the regional carriers today. I would not have the amount of time needed in the aviation world to get into the major airlines. So it'd be a regional carrier. But to me, flying from point A to point B is what the ultimate goal is. And
and getting paid for it.
Carrier. So say that again.
And getting paid for it.
And getting paid for it. I guess that's an added bonus as well. Sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I only bring that up because you mentioned commercial aviation. So I imagine that includes a paycheck versus getting your pilot's license and flying the friendly skies for fun all the time, right? Like, you know, your commercial aviation sounds like it's going to be fun for you because it's a passion and it's more than just fun because you want to do it commercially. That's right.
That'd be correct. Whether it's with you know, a commuter airline, a private company, whoever it might be, as long as I'm flying airplanes, that'd be an ultimate goal.
Awesome. Great. Love that. Okay, perfect. Anybody else have any clarifying questions needed for Kevin? Okay. All right, Kevin. Michael might even have the spreadsheet, but if you go to bemoredaily.com, we can get you this worksheet sent out to fill out for breaking down your someday goal into today. And we've got all the other live streams again on Facebook and LinkedIn if anybody wants to jump back. So we're going to end the live stream now, though, and move into our Take 5 accountability conversations.